Io guardo lì, eh?
No, no, tu guardi me.
Guarda, così.
Ah,
Così e così.
sì, sì. Sei in diretta per forza.
Adelaide, breve, perché poi deve dire tutto il resto lui. Ok?
Dimmi quando.
Vai, Manu.
Hello, good morning from Adelaide 2017 IAC Congress. This is the closing day, and we are here with the President of the Italian Space Agency, Roberto Battiston, to summarize what's happened here in Adelaide and what were your purposes.
It was a great conference, a record attendance of more than 4,500 participants, really outstanding, and a very lively program, a lot of interesting discussion information, topics which are very important for the future of international collaboration for exploration, as an example, but also new rocket, new plans for having villages on Moon and Mars, a lot of stuff, and most important, a lot of young people. In a young nation like Australia, which has also announced in this occasion the foundation of their new space agency, so a new important player which is adding to the family of national space agencies which will participate and contribute to the future of the International Aeronautical Federation, of which IAC is the annual conference.
Yesterday in the seminar Deep Space Exploration after 2024, you showed the capacity of Italian industry, of Italian Space Agency for human flight and exploration. What is the situation now between Explore Mars or Explore Moon?
I think is explore deep space, and there is a continued discussion among the large ferrying nations, the large agencies, in particular United States with NASA, Roscosmos, but also China and ESA, JAXA, Canadian agency, and others will follow what to do after the International Space Station for the countries which participate to it, and China after the space station, the Chinese space station they are building, which is the next step. And this we can look at it in phases. And there is a consensus that the first phase could be a lunar outpost, a port which can host astronauts, but also be an intermediate step to learn how to live for a long period remotely from Earth in harsh conditions of deep space, but also as a starting point to land on the Moon, to develop technologies and maybe eventually to have a permanent basis, human basis on Mars, but also as a starting point from this spaceport, as well as from the Moon, where the resources can be obtained for the big step towards Mars, the big mission which will allow men to go to Mars. The dates for that are tens of years. I mean, the outpost around the Moon, it is probably around the 30s, the end of the 20s, and the next step on the Moon or on Mars is probably for the 30s to 40s, but the same as the space station, the International Space Station has been conceived and developed in step. Before was the Mir station, there was a number of laboratories of European and American development, and eventually this has been put together in the International Space Station. It took tens of years. In the meantime, the Soviet Union disappeared, the Berlin Wall was abated, and the space built up the capacity of collaborating in space. Similarly, today, we are thinking to a process of 20 or plus years. The difference with the past is that has to be thought in a global scale. All the spacefaring countries have to work together and step by step show the willfulness to bring the program close and close and make a synergic approach in order to overcome the challenges of going to the Moon with the permanence of the human, or go to Mars for the same purpose. I think meetings like the one which has been in Adelaide are extremely useful to to allow this discussion to go on, to send messages which are then elaborated in the various countries, and to bring back synthesis. We did that in the IAC in Israel, in Guadalajara, and the result of these meetings and discussions is clearly visible in the discussion which we had during this week. Russia has announced a clear program to go to the moon together with the Americans for this outpost by 2030, which is fully realizable with the technologies we have, in particular we have also in Italy. The Americans at that point are also already looking forward to the Mars mission, the journey to Mars, as the next step after the port on the moon, while the Russian probably will be more interested to go to the moon and to set up a permanent presence of human on the moon, and the Europeans are also playing the similar role, thinking to a contribution to this space, lunar outpost, but also to robotic on the moon. As for Italians are concerned, we are interested after the moon deep space port, probably to go towards Mars, because we believe that going to Mars is the most ambitious technological changing process and stimulating very ambitious economical and technological and scientific goals. However, the most important thing of all that is not the destination, but the travel, and to travel together among all the space-faring countries.
In this framework, what is the positioning of Italy?
Italy can start from a heritage which is really extraordinary one, the heritage of the International Space Station, where we built a very large structure and the cargos, habitable modules, the cupola, the node. We have a tremendous competence in this field. We have a number of astronauts which are really giving a continuity in the exploration and exploitation of resources in microgravity. So we are well prepared from the human point of view as well from the technological and industrial point of view to participate to this adventure. And we are following with extreme attention all the discussions which are going on. And as I said before, a program which has in the intermediate step around the moon and prepare for a longer term towards Mars is for us a very interesting one.
Let's closing with the Elon Musk speech as happened last year in Guadalajara. Elon Musk gave us a vision of the future, a vision of his plan to Mars and to whatever. What do you think?
Elon was a great speaker as usual. This year he has elaborated on the ideas which put forward last year. Last year, most of these they were a surprise. This year is an elaboration of what has been in the meantime developed. He claimed at the beginning of his talk that he was going to give a better economical sustainability of the scheme he's proposing. In reality, he did not go too much into details, but he did elaborate on a better definition of this BFR, this large spaceship derived from the same concept of reusability of the Falcon 9, but it can transport instead of 30 tons, something like 150 tons, 5 or 6 times more. The fact of this new generation of spacecraft with such a capability of launching to Earth orbit large masses can be fully reusable and refillable in space is the basis of this plan to go to Mars or around the moon and at a cost which has to be much smaller than the one based on non-recoverable rockets. The fact it can be recharged while on the orbit around the Earth allow to bring much more mass to Mars without starting with a gigantic rocket. So there are merits in this idea of recoverability. I think what is very solid that is now can reliably say that after 16 recovered the first stage of the Falcon X without consecutive recovery of the Falcon X, he can really say that this technology is on his hand. He has proposed, invented and developed that over a few years. This is really some extraordinary success on this new capability himself, but I'm pretty sure other industry at the same time are basing the new way of approaching real travel to deep space. I'm even within ESA for the generation of spacecraft following Ariane 6 and Vega C. There is research ongoing about recoverability of the various stages. I think this is something which is now on the table of the future development of rockets, and will not be surprised that after Elon Musk with SpaceX, Blue Origin, which already demonstrating part of this technology, but also Europe and also other countries will come forward with proposals like that, because reducing the cost to access to space is the key to make the space activity explode. At the end of his talk, Elon Musk has shown that the moment you can get to space with a recoverable space shift of large dimension, the distance between each 2 points on Earth, each big city on Earth, each country on Earth will be below 30 minutes, meaning a way of traveling through our planet which is just a dream. To come here in Australia from Europe, it took 24 hours, 29 hours from Washington, I mean more than a day, and with this new generation of spaceship you could reduce like to a small travel with your car on your neighborhood. It's far away, will take 10, 15, 20 years, but the potential of that is outstanding.
Last question, just to say something, that is there something that you unexpect here except Elon Musk?
Something which I don't...
unexpected, something new, something very interesting that you unexpected. The
surprise in a conference like that is to see the new space developing. Lot of young people, lot of ideas. The one ideas which were totally new a few years ago are now getting mature, providing products. The commercialization on space, step by step, we see that. Every time we see a new product which really sell in space and which was not considered or not discovered a few years ago is a big surprise. I think the real commercialization in space is about having new ideas. And here, in a conference like that, with people like that, with the new generation of space professionals like that, you are getting continuous surprise about the utilization of space for commercial values.
Thanks a lot. The next,
Thank you.
The next IAC will be in Bremen, Germany next year.